Welcome to the Close to Home podcast. Real people, real life, real stories. Insight and inspiration from Close to Home brings a fresh perspective on home, business, and life. Join the professionals across real estate, construction, insurance, and financial lending to gain perspective not only from their individual professional experience, but also from their life stories. Good afternoon. How is everyone?
Doing well, Dan. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks, Jaclyn. Ashley, how are you?
It's a great day, guys.
It is. The sun finally poked out a little bit. Cops came and picked up whoever was making a mess over there in Kroger earlier. So, yeah.
It happens.
Good day. Good day. How are you, Jim?
Not bad. Not bad. Experiencing the same thing that I guess you guys are.
Which would be?
Just wondering what happened over there at Kroger.
Oh, okay. Well, today's topic, just go ahead and jump right in. Buying and selling residential real estate, right? Is that what we're talking about?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, we're ready to hear from the expert.
Oh, are you? Well, let's bring him in.
Dan, are you here?
So, buying and selling residential real estate. It's a tricky market right now. What do we want to know? What do we want to talk about?
How do you navigate this market?
Very carefully, to be real honest.
So historically, at one point, everybody throughout history decides when they're going to buy, when they're going to sell, when's it right, when's it not right. And if you ask most of them, it's all about availability.
Mm-hmm.
And most of us in our lifetime are going to do this a couple of times, a few, some of us many. So I guess what we want to know is where to start. How do we do it? Take us from the complicated stuff back to the simple stuff. So let's go to square A.
Square number A. Let's see. So that's going to start with a phone call normally. Hi, my name is Bobby Buyer. I'm interested in buying a house. What can you tell me? And I'm going to say, all right, well, what location do you want to be in?
So
you've probably heard that before.
I'll tell you right now, I guess I would be looking for an investment property or a rental. I've talked with a banker. I know it's going to take a little bit more down payment and whatnot. My price range is probably, we're going to try to go for a little bit higher end renter. So I'm going to be in probably the 350 to 400 range.
Okay.
And I'm told that's where it's at right now, which is kind of funny, but a lot of people are doing that now.
Yeah. Yeah. We've seen that quite a bit here recently in the last few years that more and more investors are purchasing higher end homes, not the $50,000 and $100,000 homes.
With inventory down, you think about being in a good school district, you're moving in from Minneapolis or wherever it is, and you've got a new position, at one of the companies here, and essentially you want your kids in that good school district. A lot of them with the inventory down are not afraid to rent right now either. So,
Right.
Those are pretty good stuff. There's also, some of these companies are taking on properties as corporate rentals and different things like that. And
Seen a lot of that lately.
right.
Yeah, well, I mean, COVID really kind of drove that in terms of, not only can people live wherever they want, but now everything's kind of shaken up with a lot of relocation, within the nation, but also internationally again. So,
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if you're able to work from wherever it is you're sitting on your laptop, via whether it's Zoom or you're working from home office, there's no restrictions anymore. We saw that a lot. A lot of people moved out of the city because they lived there for 10 or 15 years because they wanted a short commute. Well, now, heck, if I haven't gone to the office in 6 months and they're telling me I'm never probably going to go back to the office, why not?
or even coast to coast,
Right.
Midwest is definitely a great place to raise a family, and the cost of living is much better, but yet they still have their salaries and same income or what have you. So yeah, that's great.
A lot more bang for your buck around here. So, okay. So let's go back to Jim's question. We want to purchase a home, and we want it to be a little higher end for the rentals for here. Now, if you're living in California and you're listening to this, you're going to think that 350 or 400 is nothing because it's not going to get you anything out there. Here in the Midwest, that's going to get you a nice home.
Is that another People's Republic, by the way?
Or California?
Yes.
Yeah, probably.
Okay, just checking.
So, yeah, if you're living in California, the home values are drastically different than they are here in the free state of Missouri, or at least the free portion of Missouri here outside of St. Louis City. So we're looking at a little bit higher price point. We want to go in and be able to make a profit. So is it going to be self-managed, Jim, or are we going to get a property manager involved?
All good questions. I would think if we can develop a portfolio on this, we'll go to property management. So for now, I think tag it's us. We're gonna go ahead and handle that. But that's why we're hoping to do a higher end because we feel like
Hopefully
all the way around
less problems.
Yeah, we
and-
think it's going to be more family oriented, a little bit easier on the appliances, and most of all, I mean, without bias here, right? Easier to collect the rent.
Sure.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
No. And all right. So
Just a chime in from the insurance agent. You actually can get some discounts by having property managers. So just
Really?
an FYI. Yeah.
okay. So I am all about having a property manager.
Agreed.
I'm all for having a professional do a professional's job. So I'm gonna instead of maybe Jim calling tag you're it, I'm gonna say, all right, let's look down the line. We want to have a return that's high enough to where we can support a property management company if we're going to build a portfolio and we don't want to take care of 30 rentals down the line. So first of all, we want to make sure that we're in the right school district. We have the right location. We've got the right home that's going to support a higher rent in order to get the return that we need.
So how many bedrooms and baths do we need? Because isn't that going to be pertinent if you're going to have a rental? Or isn't that some of the keys?
Yeah. So what do we say the price point was? 350, 400, somewhere in there?
Yeah. Which
So we're probably going to be looking at a 3 or 4 bed and a 2 or 3 bath. Around here, we're going to be probably seeing at least 16 to 1,800 square feet. Could be pushing closer towards 2,000, but I would not say that we're probably going to get over 2,000 square feet if we're buying a ranch for 350 to 400. Is that fair, Ashley?
Yeah,
you're
I'd say so.
the home person.
Yeah.
So we're going to be looking for that return. Will rent roll support it? Absolutely. Like we said, we've seen it enough here recently. So then what's the next step for you?
next step? Well, are you saying we've agreed upon a house and we like it and whatnot?
Sure.
Okay, so we're going to get the appraisal, and what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and get it done as an investment. So we have, rents documented in the area too, so that we know that we support that too. We're always going to do our due diligence up front. So we're going to make sure that we know everything we know with our upfront investments. So it's going to cost me an inspection, and it's going to cost me an appraisal to know whether or not I'm moving forward. But chances are, if I'm already buying an inspection and paying for an appraisal, I'm a pretty serious buyer.
Yeah,
and
you're gonna between an inspection and appraisal, you're gonna spend about $1,000, right?
Right.
Is that pretty fair?
Yeah, maybe even
A little
bit more. But however, I'm willing to do that if I'm going in, and if that's the holdback for me, I really shouldn't be looking at these properties at all, because you're basically leveraging, a lot of dollars, and that's a little bit to make sure you're on a solid
platform
investment.
You've got to set yourself up and to step into a game like that. You do have to have. I feel like there's a difference between people that are rich and there are people that are wealthy. And people that are wealthy utilize their money to make money. Yep. And the people that are rich just take the money and they spend it.
So I always think of wealth and riches as my riches are my family. My wealth is my bucks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, both are very valid points. Yeah, it's just a different viewpoint.
But I understand, know, and that's just like a personal.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you say bucks, I think it's something totally different. So
Yeah, deer. We know Dirt
Oh
Dan.
my gosh, we got to deal with Grizz over here.
So Jaclyn, you were going to say something?
I was, but this is more like probably very baseline question. So I know that everybody knows somebody, and my best friend's sister is a realtor, and I guess, like, is it okay to use them if they're going to give us a better deal? Or what do you do about family, and do they really know? And like, is it best to use a full-time realtor?
Yes.
Can you use somebody that's like, what are some of the pitfalls? Like,
Do you want to have a part-time attorney representing you in court?
do they know their stuff?
No.
That's like my cousin Vinny.
You want them to be invested.
No, I'm just joking. No, I get it. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with having a part-time job. There's absolutely nothing wrong with having a part-time job. And if your part-time job is strictly buying and selling residential real estate, then they're probably qualified for it. If they've got a dozen rental properties, they happen to hold a license so that they don't need to pay a real estate agent, by all means, use them. I'm not saying you have to use me, but if they're an agent that has never heard of a 1031 exchange and you're wanting to do a tax deferred exchange program, you should probably look at somebody who understands what that 1031 is and what the pieces of the puzzle are going to be.
Okay. So you also talked about like location, right? So I know that you live out in the St. Charles County, Warren County, Lincoln County-ish area.
Northern Warren County.
So if you have somebody who's looking for an investment property in the city, and again, just asking out of ignorance, is that something that you would be best at? Or
I can do it. I've done it before. I partner with some folks down there though that I would probably send somebody to. I've got a guy that him and I have a really great relationship. We've known each other for 20 years, and he doesn't want anybody else to handle his stuff. So I'll go down there and work for him. Am I going to go down to South St. Louis and work for somebody? Probably not. I've never worked in that particular neighborhood before.
so it is best to be like somewhat regional, or
Somewhat, yeah.
to know the school districts, to really know the area,
Right.
and they can still call you if their comfort level is with you, but doing what's best for the client and sending a referral or something
I would
like
prefer to set the client up right and have them happy in the end over getting a sale. So yeah, I would probably refer them to somebody who's extremely familiar with that area.
that. Not surprised by your integrity, Dan.
All right, hit me with the 1031 exchange. Let's talk about this because this
Let's open up a can of worms
This
that we
is,
could talk about for
We need
2
to
hours.
have a can opener just on the table.
this happens a lot, and somebody's moving some stuff, and obviously we don't want Uncle Sam eating our equity here. So talk to us a little bit about this.
So a 1031 exchange is a tax deferred program where you can buy and sell like-kind real estate without paying capital gains tax. So you're not going to be using it for a primary residence. You can use it for income producing property. So whether that would be residential rentals, commercial rentals, agricultural ground, timber producing ground, even recreational ground, as long as you're moving from one like kind property to another, which generally speaking is going to be, okay, is it income producing? If it is, then you can move it. So from what I've done before is, say somebody has a residential rental portfolio, they want to liquidate that and move it into a agricultural rental portfolio. You can do that. But the 1031 exchange is essentially taking what you would pay in capital gains and kicking it down the road and deferring your payment of those capital gains.
So question, can that be from a primary home to residential? No, it has to be like some type of income producing to another
One
type
investment
of
to
It
another.
has to be
Another
a
investment.
like kind property, and primary residential or primary residence is its own deal. So case in point, you and Mark are married. So you can make up to $500,000 on the sale of your primary residence without paying capital gains tax on that proceeds.
So what if we're buying a house and I mean, we're just sitting pretty on, let's just say $1 million worth of equity, and we decide to buy something, maybe buy 2 homes. Like, can we split that?
So that wouldn't
proceeds or no?
So the 1031 exchange is not, it doesn't have anything to do with primary residences. And the fact that you have $1 million worth of equity doesn't matter. It's, do you have $1 million worth of proceeds from, or $1 million worth of capital gain from your proceeds?
But can that be rolled into my next purchase?
For primary residence? Absolutely, yeah.
And then that doesn't count.
So if you made more than $500,000, say that you made $600,000
Okay.
on the sale in capital gains. So you bought your house for $500,000, you're selling it for $1.1 million. Yep. That would be a $600,000 capital gain. Of that, $500,000 is not eligible to be taxed. So your tax that you would pay, your capital gains tax that you would pay would be on that $100,000. Disclaimer, I am not a CPA. You need to talk to your CPA about things like this.
Got it. Okay.
I did stay at a Holiday Inn Express, though.
Yeah, you've mentioned that a couple of times. So what about, there's like a 2-year thing too. Like I remember, like you can't buy and sell within 2 years. That's another.
You can, but
you can buy and sell whenever you want.
But at
you
2 years, you're going to get to keep most of your gains, like you said, up to 500.
Yeah, if you're a married couple, 250 if you're single. So, essentially, we kind of got a little farther off.
No, but it's okay. We talked about the exchange and people who are buying and selling, rentals and for me, maybe I'm upgrading my portfolio. Maybe I sold 2 units, to move,
and you're buying one.
Yeah, and buy something that's a little bit more upper scaled because that's what I'm.
Yeah,
going.
Because that's where you're just gonna move your
and
portfolio.
This isn't me, by the way, but some of my clients have gone this direction, and it's worked out well enough to be intriguing, and that's why I kind of thought that might be a decent example.
Sure. Yeah. No. That's a really good example. So essentially, what we're wanting to do is create a path towards wealth, and whether, Jim, I see you got an Ed Jones pen set in front of you, whether you're using Ed Jones to do that or you're using real estate to do that, you're just trying, it's just a means to an end, right?
Right.
Well, and I think it's good to be diversified too, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, the American dream is
a piece of the land,
of the land,
piece of the rock.
But you can't, the
dirt.
The dirt. I'm sorry, Dan the Dirt Man.
Dirt Dan.
I kind of liked Pigpen a little better, but that's just me. That's my own visual picture. Just a cloud of dust and Dan's in there
carrying it with me.
And his blankie.
That would be me, Linus. That would be me. I have a blankie.
I get him confused.
By the way, those of you who are going to take your binky away from your kid, I understand. But if you're going to take their blankie away, I don't understand the harm in that. I don't like it. You better not take their blankie away.
Or their stuffy.
Yeah, or their stuffy.
My daughter has a stuffed possum that she absolutely adores.
A possum. Dan, why am I not surprised by that?
My wife got her that. Yeah. So it's cool. So, all right. So back to buying and selling residential real estate. What kind of questions would you have if you're not going to be buying something for a rental portfolio?
Okay, so if you're buying for yourself, you mean?
If you're buying a primary residence.
Okay. So
which is what happens most of the time. Most of the time it's a primary residence.
Right. And
so do you, I mean, I've just got some random questions.
Sure.
Like,
fire away.
So when you're deciding to do upgrades in your home, and I know we've kind of touched on this in a different segment, but like they always say bathrooms, kitchens, but what about like swimming pools or outdoor kitchens or things like that? Like, do you get a return on investment as much in this market for those?
It depends.
That's a tough question.
It depends.
And it's going to vary.
I know during COVID, like pools were the hot thing.
An above ground swimming pool from Sam's Club or Costco is not the same thing.
No,
Right.
that's not what I was talking about.
Pool. Let me just put that out there.
If you can use a bicycle pump to put your pool up, the return is probably not there.
I'm sorry. Maybe I should have clarified. In-ground fiberglass gunite pool, whatever the case may be.
But if you think about
outdoor.
how much time people are spending at home now, people moved to a different home because they decided they were going to be working from home long term. They could afford more of a home because of paying less on fuel, travel costs. So they got the home, or they are looking for a home with an office space or a finished basement. And it might come with those amenities of a pool or an outdoor living space because everybody's at home all day long. A lot of people are switching to more of a homeschool or a co-op program. So again, everybody's at home investing in that. I think it's something that's sought after. I think it's something that gets people engaged. It's like the house with the new windows versus the house with the old windows. And it's got a pool.
It's a selling point.
It's a selling point.
It is going to add value, but it's a selling point. And if it's a creature comfort for you, and you say, "Hey, look, I work via Zoom every day, and I can sit poolside and work, and that's what I want," then buy it.
It's livable value more than the resale value.
Yeah, it's going to add resale value for sure. But
when you look
if it's an amenity that you want, go for it.
Right.
When you look at comps on an appraisal, and there will be an ad for that, but it's usually a fraction of what it costs to build. And then, can it be a plus? Can it be a negative? Some people don't want to pay to run that pump. They don't want to pay to get it, the opened and closed and maintained.
Speaking of inspections, something that you would want to inspect for sure.
Oh, for sure.
And make sure that
and what
it's
about
insured
insurance cost?
Right, because
you need
a house
to.
with a pool, I'm sure the insurance costs are significantly more just for a risk factor.
So the recommendation then is you need to increase your liability, ideally be holding an umbrella policy for the attractive nuisance issue. But in terms of the actual costs.
Attractive nuisance.
That's me.
Empty buses and trampolines and
empty
pools.
buses?
Oh, yeah. Like people that have like old things, like just.
We call those scrap yards.
You'd be surprised how many like
a washing machine out
things
front.
are
I feel
just
like that's the road we're
left.
going down.
In some.
And that's considered an attractive nuisance. What about an unattractive nuisance?
Yeah.
That is not me.
So
that would be more me.
kind of pivoting off, but no, an attractive nuisance
worms.
just means like it is. I mean, you do everything you can to keep people out of it or
Totally
off of it.
understand that kids next door might want to jump in, hop the fence.
Yep.
I get it.
Yep.
And
you still are responsible for that, even if you have do not trespass signs and all the stuff like
it's just
empty
like the
land.
burglar breaking in and
exactly.
injuring themselves.
Breaking their foot.
Yeah.
Right.
But
Yeah.
So,
Okay, so-
but I actually had another question that came up from Jim chatting. So what? Okay, so you find like this absolutely perfect. You think it's a perfect house, but I don't know. Maybe this is true. Maybe it's not. Dan, let us know. You shouldn't buy the biggest house on the block or in the subdivision.
Well,
Where does that?
Ding, 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 ding.
so you want to buy something that conforms. Yeah, I mean, you don't want, if you're living in a neighborhood, or if the rest of the neighborhood is 1,500 to 1,800 square foot homes, you probably don't want to buy the 4,000 square foot home in that neighborhood. Likewise, if you're surrounded by 3,500 square foot homes, you probably don't want to buy the 1,300 square foot home in that same neighborhood. You want it to be conforming enough to where there's going to be valuable comps that can be used for lending purposes, and you want to be able to have the correct resale value.
Agreed. But let me be devil's advocate here.
Sure.
If you're living in that house and that is your forever home, and you're going to do a little bit of work to it,
Then doesn't
square
matter.
footage, be the biggest house on the block. If the house that you want happens to be the biggest one on the block, you're going to stay there, you're going to enjoy it, do it. Now, if you're looking at a pure investor standpoint here, no way. I don't want to be the biggest guy on the block. I'd rather be in the middle or all the way at the bottom, right?
Yeah. There's merit to being towards the bottom if you're looking at it from a strictly investment standpoint. I would prefer to be somewhere in the middle, somewhere where the comps will support it, both above and below.
Ditto.
Yeah, I would agree from a construction standpoint. I think that's kind of what we talked about. Does the house merit the renovations that you're proposing? Right. Because if you are trying to add on to a home that maybe the location is decent for the school district, and the house price was low, so you feel like you can invest, you have money that you can put into it, but it's surrounded by debilitated housing around it, you're never going to exceed that value, be based off of the surrounding homes that are around you.
But if you like where you are, and I mean, it's just like,
from an investment standpoint.
Yeah, just like your vehicles, hey, I got a few extra things on it, or, I agreed to upgrade this. No, I'm never going to get my money back on it, right. But I like it.
But the usability.
Type thing. Right. Yeah.
Living.
Don't get all caught up in one thing, and it's kind of funny when you're working with clients, and all of us do this, and you guys got to be honest with yourself and with me, because it's amazing to me. Out of this, you're making this hundreds of thousands of dollars of investments, and I got somebody coming to me, what's this $25 credit fee? And I'm like, right. Really? We're going to have this conversation? Right. It's like,
it's the cost of doing business.
There's no illegitimate fees. We're all so heavily governed, and the compliance is incredible in all of our industries. And it is one of those things where you need to be aware of what you're doing ahead of time, and that is the difference when you go into somebody, say you go into a larger builder, or you go into a larger bank, or whatever the case is. Everybody seems to think there's one type of thing that you need to do. You choose from this, and this is how you go. Or you go to the bank, it's like there's one loan. My dad said it's a fixed, and that's what it is, and no points, Does everybody know what no points is? Do they know their prepaid interest? If you have the money, you might want to do yourself a favor and look at that. A lot of people don't understand every caveat of it. Why is it out there? Why are there more programs than one? I know right now ARMs, usually when rates go up, people lean toward the ARMs, but the ARMs are still unruly, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't think that there's any one right answer for everybody.
We don't live in a cookie cutter society. And that's right. What's absolutely beautiful about where we are as well. Like everybody has different goals. Everybody has different situations, unique challenges, whatever. Like what's best for Jim may not be best for us, or best for Dan or Ashley. Right. Like we all have our things that concern us, keep us up at night, drive us, excite us, whatever the case may be. It's whatever is best for us and our families. And there are so many options out there. You just need to open up conversations. I think that gets to the root of a common theme throughout this podcast is have conversations.
Yep, 100%.
Agreed.
With trusted individuals.
Yeah, with competent professionals.
How do you sell trust? It's one of those things where, you're just not going to have it off the bat, and you might as well realize it, Yep. It's why I think all of us know that referrals are, key here. So
there's a lot that goes into it, and, having people who have trusted track records and it's not like it's hard to find dirt on anybody. So,
except for the dirt guy.
Look on the bottom of his shoes, Jim.
Now he is a trustworthy dirt guy. I can tell you that. But still,
so, there's a lot that goes into it. Make sure that whoever you're choosing has a team put together and that they have trusted individuals that they work with. So, with that, I think let's go ahead and sign off.
Sounds good.
Before
Catch
we
you
go
next time.